Hey tribe, welcome back to the mat. Today's class is a yoga for sciatica practice. Also great if you experience lower back pain or nerve pain. It'll be a really nice, gentle class. Before I get into today's class, I want to remind you to join our online tribe. You can click the link in the description below to come join us. This class was created by request in our online community. So if there's anything you'd like to see, please join us there. Come on in and share your practice with us, your experience with us. And if you've got requests, feel free to make them there. Please also make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more free yoga. Alrighty, today's class, as I mentioned, will be a gentle yoga for sciatica or low back pain class. We'll be moving really gently, really slowly, just one or two standing poses, and other than that, we'll mostly be down on the mat, so like super mellow. In terms of props, you will want to have a strap. Doesn't have to be a yoga strap. It could be any belt of yours. It could be a scarf or a towel or like a necktie. Anything that is, you know, just like this long kind of ropey thing that you can use to extend your limbs. You will also want a yoga block, and if you don't have a block, a sturdy book will work just fine as well. And for Shavasana, it'll be nice to have a pillow or cushion. If you have a bolster, you can use a bolster. This is just a pillow I grabbed off my bed. It's not necessary for Shavasana, but it'll be a nice added touch to put underneath the knees in your Shavasana. So if you'd like that, feel free to grab that as well. So as I mentioned, today's class is a yoga for sciatica or low back pain class. If you have no idea what sciatica is, lucky you. If you'd like to learn more about sciatica, if you think it's something you might be experiencing, there is a blog post linked in the description below that you can check out that'll give you a bit more information about what it is, how it's caused, and what the symptoms are. But basically, it can cause quite a bit of pain in the glute or the hamstring, really running all the way down the leg. So the sciatic nerve runs from the lower spine through the glute all the way down into the foot, and it runs along the back of the leg. So it affects the hamstrings, the glutes, maybe the calves. If you'd like to read more, like I said, check out that blog post. Alrighty, that's enough of that. Go ahead and grab whatever props you need, unroll your mat, and let's get started. Alrighty, so we're going to begin on our backs. Make sure that your strap and your block are within hand's reach, so you can place them down next to you so that they are easy for you to grab. And then go ahead and come all the way down onto your back, bringing the soles of the feet flat onto your mat. And go ahead, take a few moments here. You can allow the eyes to close down and gently shift side to side, bringing awareness to the low back, noticing what sensations are present there for you today. And then go ahead, find some stillness. And with soles of the feet flat on the mat, we're going to start to tilt the pelvis slightly. So keeping awareness on the low back, begin to lift your hip points up towards your ribs. So press the low back down into the mat. We do this sometimes when we work on core work, where we're actively pressing the core in. This is a lot more mellow than that. This is just a gentle pulling the hip points up towards the ribs as the lower back presses flat on the mat. And then go ahead and release that, bringing the hip points towards the legs again, allowing the low back to lift off of the earth. As you exhale, press the low back down, bring hip points up towards the ribs. Inhale, hip points towards the legs as you lift the low back. Continue like this for a few rounds of breath. Take one more round of breath like this. Inhaling, lift the low back. Exhale, press the low back down into the mat and keep the low back here, pressing into the mat. So continuing to inhale and exhale while the low back presses into the earth. So now the entire spine is flat on the earth. So finding a lot of length in the entire back. Beautiful. Keep that as is. Go ahead and grab your strap. Bring the right knee in towards the chest. The foot's sort of up towards the sky. You'll take your strap or, your belt or your towel, your scarf, whatever you have, and loop it underneath the sole of the right foot. So continuing to press the low back. So you want lengthened back, flat on the mat, and then straightening the right leg a little or a lot. Maybe you keep a bend in the knee. Starting with an easy opening of the hamstring. The hamstring is a popularly affected area for sciatica. And lower back pain in general can come from tightness in the hamstrings. It's all connected, right? So tightness in the hamstrings can often move its way up into the lower back. You can stay right here exactly as you are. If you are feeling more than enough sensation in the hamstring, stay right here. You also have the option of beginning to straighten the left leg on the mat. I would like you to keep the awareness on the low back though, so continue bringing the hip bones towards the ribs so the low back presses into the mat, and then inching the foot forward slowly. If you notice that as you move the foot forward, the low back starts to lift, bring the foot back, reset, bring the low back flat onto the earth again. So only walking the foot out as far as you can while keeping the low back pressing onto the earth. So you might be able to bring the foot all the way forward. It does make it a bit of a bigger stretch, so decide for you what feels okay on your body today. So making sure that there is no pain anywhere. If you extended that leg long, go ahead and bring the sole of the foot flat onto the mat again. And gently begin to bend the right knee in towards the chest. You can release your strap down next to you. And release the right foot flat onto the mat so it's next to the left. Take a few rounds of breath here, noticing sensations in the low back. Noticing if anything has changed. Maybe something has, maybe it hasn't. There's no right or wrong. And from here, we'll come into the other side. So once again, bring the hip points up towards the ribs. Make sure that the low back is nice and long on your mat. Bring the left leg in towards the chest, keeping the low back flat on the earth. And then bringing your strap, your towel, your belts, whatever you have, under the sole of the left foot. And starting to stretch the left hamstring. The left hamstring might feel different from the right. In fact, it probably will. Notice where those differences lie. Totally okay to keep a bend here in the left knee. Staying with the breath. It's really easy for the mind to wander in these still poses. See if you can gently bring the mind back to the breath whenever you notice that it's kind of wandered off. You can stay right here. And if you would like, you can play with bringing the right foot forward. And again, making sure that the low back continues to press down into the mat so you've got a nice lengthened low back. So you gradually inch the foot forward and maybe bringing it all the way straight. And if you lengthened that right leg, go ahead and bring the foot flat onto the mat. Bend the left knee, releasing the strap from the left foot, bringing left foot flat onto the mat next to the right. Taking just a couple rounds of breath here. Notice any sensations in the low back. From here, go ahead and bring the hands to your kind of the hip point, so the start of the thighs, so right where your hip creases are, so where the thighs begin, and press the legs away from you. You should feel some tractioning in the back and the spine. And then release. And then from here, we're going to come into some bridge lifts. So a big part of what happens with sciatica is the piriformis gets really tight. And a big part of why is because the glutes are a bit weak, and so the piriformis is overactive. So we're going to work a little bit on strengthening the booty. So go ahead and bring your block, or whatever you've got, bring it between the thighs. And as you do, begin to squeeze in towards the block. So you want to have the heels right underneath the knees. So if you extend the arms long next to you, you should be able to graze the backs of the heels with middle fingers. So Make sure you've got the feet aligned and the feet are parallel. Begin squeezing in towards your block. So you should feel the inner thighs wake up. You should feel a bit of the pelvic floor lifting up. Continuing to squeeze into the block as you inhale, go ahead and lift the hips up towards the sky. Squeeze the block. And then lower the hips back towards the earth. Let's actually reverse that breath. So take an inhale here. And as you exhale, lift the hips, squeeze the block. You should feel the glutes activate. Inhale, lower, moving nice and slow. Exhale, lift the hips, squeeze the block. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Take 2 more like this, inhaling to come down. Exhale, lift up, squeeze the block. 1 more, inhale, lower. Keep squeezing your block, exhale, lift. And then lower the hips to the earth. You can go ahead and remove your block. And from here, we're going to come up to a seat. So you can either roll onto one side and press yourself up, or you can take a few rolls on your spine to bring yourself up to a seat. And we're going to come into a seated twist. So into Ardha Matsyendrasana. Extend both legs long. And you want to make sure you're sitting up on your sit bones rather than rolling back on your tailbone. So I like to lean forward a little bit, kind of shift the weight to one side, lift one leg up and kind of scooch my booty back and then bring it back down, and then do the same on the other side. Lift the leg, scooch it back and bring it down. So we're sitting up on sit bones, not rolling on tailbone. If you do all that and you still kind of feel like you're rolling back, bring a blanket, or maybe if you've got a cushion, something near you, bring that underneath your seat so that you can sit up nice and tall. So from here, bring the right knee in towards the chest, and then step the right foot over the left leg. So the right foot is now on the outside of the left knee. The left foot is flexed, so the toes are pulling back towards your face. Bring the hands around the right knee. Inhale, lengthen the spine nice and tall. Exhale here. Lift the right arm up by the right ear. Take an inhale to lengthen. And as you exhale, you're going to twist to the right, starting from the belly, and then the ribs, and then the shoulders. The right hand will come down behind you, and the left arm can hug the right leg. You can bring the gaze over the right shoulder. Nice, easy seat and twist. So the right hand can be on fingertips behind you if that's uncomfortable. You can bring a block behind you, press the hand into the block as you lengthen the spine and twist. So you should feel some sensation in the outer right hip in this pose a little bit. And then go ahead, on your inhale, turn the head back to center, followed by the shoulders, the ribs, and the belly. Beautiful. We'll switch sides. Extend the right leg long, bringing left knee in towards the chest, crossing the leg over the right. So the sole of the left foot is flat on the mat outside the right knee. Hug the left leg in. Take an inhale here, lengthen. Long exhale. Lift the left arm up by the left ear. Inhale, lengthen spine. Exhale, twist to the left from the belly, the ribs, the shoulders. Left hand comes down. Hug the right leg. And complete your twist by turning the head to look over the left shoulder. So imagining with every inhale you could grow a little taller. With every exhale, maybe you twist a little bit deeper. On an inhale, turning the head, shoulders, ribs, belly back to center. Beautiful. Go ahead and make your way into a tabletop position, hands and knees. We'll take a few rounds of cat-cow here. So wrists underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. As you inhale, tilt the pelvis and the chest up towards the sky. And as you exhale, pull the navel up towards the spine, round the back. 2 more like this. Inhale. And exhale, round. 1 more. Inhale. And exhale. Finding a neutral spine. And we're going to come into a high lunge. Again, working on strengthening the glutes. So you can, from here, step the right foot in between the hands. Begin to tuck the back toes under, lift the back heel. Find some steadiness here in the legs, and when you feel like you are steady, start to lift the torso. Totally okay to leave a bit of a bend in the back knee for this high lunge. And I want you to focus on really bringing the weight into the right heel. So you want to feel the right glute working here. If you feel nice and steady, the arms can lift up by the ears. Staying with the breath. From here, bring the hands to heart center. Lean the chest long over the right leg, so really press into the left heel. You'll want to straighten that leg. From here, we'll come into a twist, so take an inhale to lengthen the spine. Exhale, twist to the right, hooking the left elbow outside the right leg. Pressing the palms into each other as you twist. If this is too much, feel free to bring the left knee down onto the earth and take your twisted lunge here with the knee down. Either way, you should feel a little bit of opening in the right hip. You don't want to press too hard. You want this to be a fairly mellow twist. Go ahead, undo the twist, bring the palms to the earth, left knee down, and then bring the right knee down next to the left. So you're back in your tabletop position, and from here we'll just switch sides. So bring the left foot in between the hands, tucking the back toes underneath, lifting the back knee, and then finding some steadiness here in the leg, lifting the torso. And lifting the arms. Totally cool to keep a bend in the back knee. Really focusing on the weight in the left heel, turning on that left glute. Coming into that twist, bring the palms to touch. Lean the torso long so you can start to really straighten that right leg. And then twist to the left, hooking the right elbow outside the left knee. Press the palms into each other as you twist. Not trying to press too hard, just to give you a little bit of leverage for your twist. And again, if this is too much, feel free to bring the right knee down and take this twisted lunge with the knee down. Alrighty, go ahead and release hands to the earth. Right knee comes down and release the left knee to meet the right. Beautiful. From here, go ahead and come all the way down onto your belly. And we'll take some cobra waves. So really gentle with these back bends. They're going to be pretty mellow. So bring the hands wide. So they're going to be sort of elbow width, so as wide as like your elbows come out. And I've got my fingers tented, so I'm up on my fingertips in what I like to call cupcake hands, because it's like you got 2 cupcakes under them and you don't want to squish them. If you would prefer to smush your cupcake and bring the palms flat, feel free to do that as well. We'll start with the forehead down on the mat, and as you inhale, you're going to roll the spine up, opening the chest, and exhale to roll back down. Inhale, roll it up. The head will come up last. And exhale, roll it down. So these can be as big or small as you need. Inhale, lift. It can be really little, just like this. And then come back down on your exhale. We'll take 2 more like this. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. 1 more. Inhale. And exhale. Beautiful. Go ahead and release the hands, the arms next to the body. And we're going to come into Shavasana, locust pose. So make sure that the feet are together. Legs are long. Go ahead and turn the palms so that they are down towards the earth. Forehead is on the earth. And you're going to reach the toes for your back wall so much that the legs are going to lift. And you're also going to reach the shoulder blades back towards each other so much that the chest and shoulders will lift. So on an inhale, we'll reach everything back and up. So you want to feel length in the spine. You don't want to feel any crunching or compressing. You want to feel length using the muscles in the back to help you lift here. Take 1 more inhale. And exhale, release. Bring one hand on the mat, the other hand on top of it, and the forehead down on the hand. You can wiggle the hips side to side as you let this go. And from here, we're going to come into pigeon pose. So go ahead and press yourself up to all fours. And I'm going to give you a few options for your pigeon pose. So if you want to come into just classic pigeon, you're going to bring the right knee up behind the right wrist. And the right foot is going to come up towards the left so that the shin is in front of you, and you can scooch your seat back with your left foot, trying to bring the right hip down onto the mat. Now, if you notice that you're collapsing over onto the right hip, so the left hip is not square to the mat, bring the weight onto the left side and bring a block underneath the right hip so that you are fully square to the front of your mat and you are supported on that right hip. So this is your pigeon pose, and you can come into it this way. If this feels really uncomfortable, if you feel any pressure or strain in the knees at all, come into a seat with it. So you'll bring the feet flat onto the mat, or actually extend the left leg long on the mat. Cross the right ankle just above the left knee, so you've got a figure 4 in the legs. You'll bring the hands back behind you, lean the weight onto the hands as you bring the sole of the left foot onto the mat. And then from here, you'll walk the hands up, lifting the chest up towards the leg. So maybe the foot is way out here. If you're feeling enough sensation here, then for sure, stay right here. If you want to feel more, you bring the foot in closer and lift the chest up more towards the leg. If this also feels like too much, it's a bit of a strain and you are uncomfortable, bring it down onto the mat. So the legs are going to be in this exact same shape. You'll just come to lie back, and then from here you'll hug the left leg in towards the chest. The right hand will go through the space between the legs, left hand to the outside of the leg, and you'll pull the left leg in. If you can't quite get the hands around the leg, feel free to bring your strap around that left leg and use the strap to pull the leg in towards you. And you should be feeling all that good stuff in the outer right hip. So that was a lot of me talking. You decide where you would like to take your pigeon pose, if you want it seated, if you want it on the back, or if you'd like to come into this pigeon pose variation that I am coming into. Please listen to your body, decide what works for you, and make your way there. If you're coming into this pigeon pose here, I recommend taking a few breaths with a lifted chest here. Allow your body to speak to you. After a few breaths, maybe coming onto forearms. Maybe you don't come down to forearms at all. That's totally cool. Decide what works for you today. If you are down in this sort of classic variation of pigeon, begin to lift the torso up. If you are on your back, or if you are taking the seated variation, we're just going to switch sides, so you can just begin to switch your legs. If you are here, bring all of the weight over onto the right hip, bring the left leg around in front, and we're going to switch sides. So bringing the left shin in front of you, extending the right leg straight back. Again, you want to make sure that the right knee is flat on the earth, so you're not on the inside edge or the outside edge of the knee. You want to be squared to the front of your mat, and it's totally okay for your left foot to be really close to the right hip here. You don't need to find 90-degree angle in the leg. Finding what works for you. If you are in the seated or supine versions, do your thing. I invite you to notice where any differences lie between left side and right side. There will no doubt be some differences. My left side is way tighter than my right side. So I'm going to spend a few extra breaths here in this lifted position. If you are here in this pigeon pose, begin to lift the chest. We are all going to meet on our backs. So if you're already on your back, well, you're already there. If you are seated, start to make your way onto your back. If you're here, bring the right leg around in front and start to make your way all the way onto your back. back to the back. Bring the feet, the soles of the feet flat onto the mat. And we're all going to come into that figure 4 shape in the legs. So crossing the right ankle just above the left knee. And we're going to come into a supine twist, but the legs are going to stay in this exact configuration. So keep the ankle glued just above the right knee on the right thigh as the left leg starts to come out towards the left. So keep the legs in this shape. The left knee comes out towards the left. The sole of the right foot is going to come flat onto the mat. Keeping the right shoulder down on the earth. You should feel quite a bit of business here in the outer right hip. You can intensify that sensation by pressing the right leg away from you gently, but there's not really any need for that. Go ahead and lift the legs back up to center. And we're just going to switch sides. So bringing sole of the right foot flat onto the mat. Crossing the left ankle just above the right knee onto the right thigh. So the right knee comes out towards the right. The sole of the left foot will come onto the earth. Trying to keep the left shoulder on the earth as much as possible so the chest stays facing straight up to the sky. And again, if you'd like to feel more stuff, you can press the left leg away from you gently. And then again, gently lifting legs to center. And we're going to come into Gomukhasana legs. So undo the crossing of the legs here. And you're going to cross the right leg over the left, sort of like you're sitting like a lady. And from here, lift the legs up towards the chest. So you want both the feet sticking out towards either side, and you're going to take hold of maybe the shins. Maybe if it's available to you, you can take hold of the ankles or maybe the feet, and you're going to pull the legs down towards you. So you should be feeling a lot of hip stuff. Breathe into those sensations. Go ahead and release, and we'll switch sides. Bringing the left knee over the right. And again, you want the feet pointing straight out to the sides. And you can take hold of the shins, pulling them down towards you. Maybe you can travel the hands down the legs towards the ankles, maybe the feet, pulling the legs down towards the earth. And then go ahead and release the legs, bringing the soles of the feet flat onto the mat once again. Taking a little bit of shifting side to side here. Check in with the low back. See how everything is feeling. We're going to come into Shavasana. So if you do have a pillow or a cushion or a bolster you'd like to use, I recommend bringing it underneath the knees, and you can kind of play with your positioning. This might not have been the best pillow for this, but position it underneath the knees so that the knees are lifted. Yeah, feels pretty nice actually. All right, cool. And then as you come to lie back, lift the chest a little bit and pull the shoulder blades back towards each other. Tuck the chin towards the chest gently. Allow the palms to face up. Go ahead and take a big breath in through the nose. Open the mouth and let it go. Allowing the entire weight of your body to release into the earth beneath you. And allowing yourself these few moments to let the body absorb the work that you've done. I'm going to leave you here in this Shavasana today. So I invite you to take all of the time that you need here. If you only have a few minutes, then take a few minutes. If you have more time, please take more time. Thank you so much for joining me on the mat today and for making this time to take care of you.